Now, this next guest, very dear to my heart, had an opportunity to work with him a few years ago at a school he was coaching at in Toledo, Ohio. And we just kind of stayed connected from there. I really enjoyed some of the things that he did in his program, and I was very fortunate just come in and do some work with him. And he's at Cleveland State now doing his thing, and I know that he's a brainiac and really has a mind for the game in a lot of different areas that he's going to talk about. So without further ado, I am so excited to have here to speak at Coaches Conference 2023, Coach Travis Lewis.
Lou, man, I appreciate you. One of the things that you find, especially at the high school level, is that coaching is such a thankless job, right? You put so much time, energy, and effort into your craft, and it's not until like 10 or 15 years after the kids have left you that they come back and be like, man, coach, you really changed my life, right? So during that journey and during creating the opportunities to help change kids' lives, you need special people around you. And when I was in the midst of having some of my better teams as a high school head coach, man, Louis Shine came in and he really debriefed our staff on ways to improve them, but he also poured into our kids during the time right before our season started to empower them mentally to be the best version of themselves, right? And he did it through things on the court. He did it through sitting in the classroom and talking about different experiences. I walked out of the area and gave them a chance to express time with them. I mean, he spent probably some of the best 4 days of my 9 years as a head coach with my program to help me reach my goals and reach my dreams. So anytime he calls, man, I'm on the first thing smoking if I can get there to be able to help him out. What he's doing just in the game of basketball is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So as we get started, I'm just going to break it down into a few areas. First, I'll just talk about my journey, right? I'll talk about some of the people that helped me in my journey. Then I'll get into some of the basketball stuff. At Cleveland State, I've had a lot of success. I think we won 42 and 24 in the last 2 years with 3 championships, right? And a chance to compete for a couple this past season that slipped through the cracks. And then we'll finish with just some things that I've had to help me improve my program, some things that I've learned from the 2 coaches that I've worked with over the last 2 years that they've used inside of their programs to help them be successful. And then I'll open it up for questions. First, I think my wife is watching online. If she's not, then I have to get on her because she been worrying about, hey, what you gonna wear, what you gonna talk about, right? My wife played point guard at the University of Michigan, top 10 scoring history. At one point, I know they've had a lot of success in the recent years, but she could really dribble, pass, and shoot when she played. And my first game watching her play, they were playing against Michigan State, and it was a loose ball. She dove for the loose ball, and she ended up standing over the top of the girl. And I said, man, I got to marry her. That's just my type of girl, right? So wouldn't be in this situation definitely without her. We have 3 sons. I got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 9-month-old. So having family behind you, right, they see a lot of the impact of this coaching profession because they take the brunt of you not being there, right? I got text updates the last 2 days over basketball games they've been playing over the weekend. And you just hope that they understand the sacrifices you're making for them in order to make other people better. So when I get an opportunity to pour back into them, I can. And then, the 3 most powerful people in my career has been Charles Ramsey. He was my head coach at Eastern Michigan when I played. Dennis Gates, who's now the head coach at Missouri, gave me my first opportunity to get into the Division I level as a paid assistant coach. And then my current head coach, Danielle Robinson, who I will forever be thankful for, because everybody has an excuse on why you're not the right person for the job, right? Everybody can tell you, well, I got an NBA guy that was interested, or I needed more experience in this area, or I needed someone that could recruit a specific type of area, right? And he was like, hey, you know what? T. Lewis, I think you're the guy that sees my vision that can help me achieve my dreams. So I'm forever grateful for him as well. For those of you that want to advance in the coaching career, right, in the coaching profession, for me, it's always been bet on yourself, right, and then let God do the rest of the work. So just briefly, I was a walk-on for football at Eastern Michigan. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I had a chance to walk on at Central Michigan or walk on at Eastern Michigan. Originally, my family roots are from Houston. It's like, man, I could never live in Mount Pleasant. I think I'll do the Detroit metropolitan area, right? So I walked on for football at Eastern Michigan. After my first year, I earned a scholarship. After that year was over with, we got a new basketball coach. Around Christmas, they needed somebody. They thought they were gonna have some eligibility issues. The new head coach, Coach Ramsey, had seen me play in high school, and he was like, man, I think you can come in and help us practice. I didn't have the intention to go in and help practice by any stretch of imagination, right? So I said, man, anytime you're given an opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. And what I did, I showed up early, I stayed late, and I listened as much as I can to the coaches that were around me, right? Took advantage of every opportunity. By the time I finished playing sports at Eastern Michigan, I was a 4-year starter on the football field and a team captain. I was a 3-year starter on the basketball court and a team captain, right? And all of that was achieved through just working as hard as I can and believing in myself. And that's important because those are the things that set the foundation for who I wanted to become as a coach, right? Some of the lessons I learned the right way and some of the lessons that I learned the wrong way were the foundation for how I was going to attack this profession once I got into it. When that was over with, I played basketball shortly in China. I played basketball shortly in Nicaragua. I did a couple other tours. I played in the PBL. I played in the ABA, right? Did some of the minor league things, as well as trying to play arena football, right? And then they were coming out with new leagues. Now they got the AFL out, and at that time they were trying to get it going, and I was doing those things. And I was back at Eastern working out, and Coach Ramsey called me and he said, man, I think you'll be a hell of a coach. And at that time, I had no intentions on doing anything but being a pro. Right? My whole life, I was going to the NBA or I was going to the NFL. When I got my master's degree, I got my master's degree in China because I had to get the student loans in order to have enough money to continue to keep playing. So God set me up in a position to even have a master's degree. Right? So I said, Coach, I got you. Let's do it. You think that's the best choice? You believed in me, you counted on me. So I ended up stopped playing at that moment. And then I was a GA for a year. Now, because I played for him, my GA year was different than a lot of guys that's in the industry now that's trying to grow through being a graduate assistant. I was in the locker room, I was working out players, I was giving input at halftime, I would be in one-on-one meetings with Coach Ramsey. Like, he really gave me the keys to just be an extended assistant. So I was kind of blessed and spoiled at the same time. Left from there at the end of that year. He talked about bringing me on. Unfortunately, I got let go that year. And my wife was from the Toledo area. So I was trying to get a high school job. Like, man, I just got to coach somewhere. And as I called about the high school job, there was a junior college coach that recruited one of my high school teammates that said, we have an assistant job available. Bet. Let's do it, right? So for a year and a half, I was an assistant coach at Owens Community College and assistant AD. Well, our athletic director died at Christmas. I was like, man, it's unfortunate, but an opportunity for me to grow and change and figure out, like, do I want to be an administrator or do I want to be a coach? And the university came back to me and they said, man, we don't want our head athletic director also being our head coach, right? So we went through the summer. I stayed as an assistant, stayed as assistant athletic director, stayed as assistant coach. Year was over with. They fired our head coach. Because I was administrator, I took over the program. Signed all 12 guys. That team the following year went to the national tournament, lost in the Final Four at Danville. Right? I had to stay on as an assistant. I didn't get the head coaching job. When it was over with, and I heard Coach earlier talk about culture, the culture in which we ran our junior college level, I was uncomfortable with knowing what I needed to do to grow. Right? So I made a decision to take over at an all-boys private school, predominantly white school, as the first African-American male head coach at that school. And when I walked in, it was like, man, you got your hands tied because they can't dribble, pass, shoot, walk, or run, right? It was tough. But while that decision may have set me back from getting to the college level because now I didn't have players, which coach is not going to come around if you don't have players. I didn't have the resources and the connections to try to continue to grow in the profession. But what happened over the next 9 years is I transformed into a coach. I transformed into somebody that had learned how to operate games, learned how to manage alumni because it was so much money at Toledo St. Francis that I was taking weekend trips with donors to the school up to Traverse City. I was doing things to kind of grow my brand, build myself as a person, becoming an ambassador for what I wanted to do because now I found my passion. The first time I read a book from start to finish is when I became a head coach. It was the first time, right? And I was like, man, this is really changing me. It's changing my mentality. It's changing my total approach because now I was in a position of leadership. But what happened when I got in that position of leadership, I thought to me as an assistant. I was like, man, if I'm ever fortunate enough to be an assistant again at the Division I level, then I'll be a better assistant because of my experiences now. And at the same time, I got some fire and some oil up under me to say, man, I really love standing up on that sideline. Like the adrenaline that you get from being able to make those substitutions, to be able to figure out that practice plan, to be able to motivate the kids became a passion. I was like, man, I can change lives this way and enjoy doing it at the same time. 9 years go by, and at the end of our 9 years, a year after COVID, we were selected to win our conference. I mean, people projected us to win a state championship. We got bounced in the first round of the tournament, and I think we finished 500. It was the COVID year. Nobody wanted to play us. You trying to find a game, like everybody want to find a game, they're going to win. So we played all the best teams in the state. And they bust our head and they drug us. And at the end of the year, our president had changed, our principal had changed. They came in, they said, hey, Coach Lewis, we want to go in a different direction. I said, cool. Because COVID had happened, I was doing real estate. So I started doing real estate. YouTube would teach you anything. I learned how to flip houses. Me and my wife had flipped our house, right? I'm like, man, I might be good at this. I got a guy that was at St. Francis that had ended up buying a house. He's like, man, find a house that you want to flip. You buy it, I'll do it. We flipped it. I made a lot of money from it. I'm like, man, it's crazy. So I ended up getting my real estate license. So when I got let go, I was like, listen, I'm giving myself a 3-month period to get to the Division I level. It's time now. Like, there are no more excuses. Through the 9 years, it's like, well, they only gonna pay you $30K. I got a family to feed. I can't take that big of a pay cut, right? Or it's a Division II in the middle of Alabama, and I'm not about to send my family somewhere where they can't enjoy just the quality of life, right? Now there are no more excuses. I'm gonna do everything I can to just dive into it. And that was like March 15th. Say August 1st, if I don't have a job August 1st, I'm just gonna convert and just be full-time real estate, invest, and just get to the bag, make as much money as I can. And I'm going somewhere with this, so stay with me. I started focusing more on the real estate side. I still was making phone calls. I still was doing everything that I could to get to coaching, but not with the same drive that I had years past. And Coach Gates had called me towards the end of March, and we talked on the phone, and he said, man, I got a video coordinator position open. It don't pay much, but my last 2 video coordinators have all became Division I assistants. I'm like, all right, Coach, bet, I'm in. Let's do it. We get off the phone. I hadn't heard from Coach Gates for probably 2 months. So March, all of April went by, June went by, July went by. Right now, we fast approaching August 1st. July 15th, my wife and I flew to Texas. We found a house to buy. I talked to some guys that could get me into real estate down there, financial advisors, a bunch of different things. And while we were down there, I got a call and I didn't answer it. So me and my wife get on the plane to come back, and my auntie say, there's a house in Conway you need to put an offer in on. So we get to the airport, we leave from the airport, go look at the house, come back, do all the paperwork over the phone, put an offer in on the house. We land. It's been 3 hours. Realtor texts me back, accepted offer. Damn, we're moving to Houston. I got 3 days to get out of my current house and put it up for sale. We move everything, we put it in a U-Haul, we put it up for sale. Now it's August 1st, July 31st. So July 31st come, I flipped that house myself. So I get in, I don't know if anybody watched Martin, but at the end of Martin, he like stood in the house like, dang, me and Gina really done, right? He kind of was looking around. I had put so much time, energy, and effort into flipping that house. It was 11 o'clock at night, July 31st on a Sunday. I dropped my family off. I went back to the house, and I just did a final walkthrough. And I walked through, and I looked, and I flipped the whole house alone, like from changing the floors to the carpet to the paint to everything. My in-laws helped me paint, like it was a family affair, but we had a different type of connection to it. So I stood in the garage, and I, because of my upbringing, which is a whole nother story on a whole nother day, I used to get sent to church every Sunday, and then I picked up at the end. So when I got to college, I just stopped going to church. So I still had faith, but I wasn't tied to my faith like I should have been. But I stood in the garage, and I prayed. I'm like, man, God, please let me be putting my family in the right situation. If we ain't supposed to move to Texas, God, lead me in the right direction, right? So drive to the house with the last load, close the garage, put our mattress in my in-laws' living room, leave the U-Haul packed. I wake up on August 1st, my deadline. We're going to close on our house and sell on it. And it's 8:15, I wake up 5 minutes before the alarm, and I look at it, and they got the 3 bubbles coming through. And it say Dennis Gates. So he was like, Coach, what's going on? Hadn't talked to you. Give me a call when you can. I want you to come down this week. I immediately called him, like, Coach Gates, what's up? Like, man, I want you to come down, man. I know we ain't talked. I had some things going on personally, but I want to talk to you about that video coordinator position. I said, Coach, listen. And when you're trying to get a job, you're pretty political on how you talk, but this wasn't a political situation. Let's get right to the nuts and bolts. I'm going to Texas on Thursday, bro. What we doing? He said, bring the family up. When can you bring them? I said, we got to come tomorrow. So we jump in the car. At the time, it was the 2 boys and my wife. We jump in the car. We drive to Cleveland. That was a phenomenal meeting with Coach Gates. The kids in the gym, they running around. We get in the car. So we get in the car, give everybody a piece of paper. I said, man, Houston or Cleveland, y'all decide. And all 3 of them wrote Cleveland. And on August 1st at 8:15, I said, man, look at God. You can't dictate how your career go or what choices you can make. Like, whatever's supposed to be will be. Whatever's supposed to happen will happen. And I think that's important because we all have different avenues and ways in which we want to go. Yeah, I want to be a head coach one day. I had to take a different route, right? There are some guys that are my age that's been head coaches for 5 years because when they graduated college, they went right to coaching. It wasn't a doubt in their mind on what they wanted to do. They've been doing these things for 20 years. They're like a granddad in the club, and we the same age, right? It took me 10 to get in, right? There are other people, so we all have different avenues, but you're on that avenue for a specific reason, and as you're on your journey, you can't get frustrated with the journey. That's what makes the championship so important and so special, right? So that's kind of what has got me to where I am. So a lot of times, like if you hear our coaches talk, they're like, man, try to come with the juice every day. But it's because I don't take it for granted, right? Even as a high school coach, I had juice. I always told our guys, bring juice. Just understand it's crazy energy. That's juice. Just understand it's crazy energy. Everything you do, because you can control those things. So I instill that into our players every day, right? So as we get into some of the things that are important for you, and I went on about myself, the thing that I've learned, right? And Coach Gates asked me when I came to Cleveland State, what you want to learn? I said, Coach, I won over 100 games. I've been to a lot of championships. I never won one. You've been at Cleveland State 2 years. You won the conference championship. You've been to the NCAA tournament. I want to learn what the ingredients for winning is, right? So my whole purpose was just learn as much as I can and figure out what the ingredients for winning is, right? This is what I found. The most connected team wins. The most connected team wins, right? And there's ways to be connected, which I'll go through. Now, at the high school level, right, going back to my high school days, knowing that there are some high school coaches in here, having great culture helps you be a connected team at that level. At the college Division I level, because of the transfer portal and because of the dynamics of it, you don't necessarily have time to create great culture all the time because it's a revolving door. But you can connect, you can make the connectivity happen immediately, right? So I asked the coach, how do you spell love? L-O-V-E. Coach, how you spell love? L-O-V-E. Coach, how you spell love? L-O-V-E. Read a book on Urban Meyer. You spell love, T-I-M-E. Time. When you're at the high school level, when you're trying to figure out a way to create your culture, you have to do it by giving up your time, spending time with those players, the girls and the guys that's in your program, right? And ways you do it are this, right? As a high school head coach, on Thanksgiving, we always had Thanksgiving breakfast at my house. Family breaks bread together. So I always woke up Thanksgiving morning and cooked breakfast. We all came over, and that's how we spent time together, right? Kansas State, up until December, had a team dinner at a different coach's house every Sunday. You spend a fellowship together. You're out of the element of the competitive world where your competitive juices are going. For us at Cleveland State, every day we meet at 3:30. We practice in the morning. The guys come back midday. We meet at 3:30 just so they can see us normal. You may have had a bad day. We may have rolled you. I might have jumped on you a little bit. Now I can give you a hug and tell you I love you at 3:30 when you come in from your class and you've had a chance to forget all the things that we talked about in the morning anyway, right? So those type of things help create culture. Now, when you talk about the connectivity, right? One thing that I took from Coach Gates. So this is a Missouri thing. This is a Cleveland State during the Coach Gates era, who will hopefully one day they talk into conviction. I'll be a Hall of Fame coach one day, and I'll be sitting next to Danielle Robinson and Dennis Gates, as they'll be Hall of Fame coaches as well. But they have a thing called EGBs, energy giving behaviors, right? So you always want to talk about behaviors that deliver energy, right? So at the beginning of practice for 14 seconds, he'll line the whole team up and they'll have a section of chatter. And then when he go chatter, everybody's just talking. Help, 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 help. Defense, defense, close out. I'm here. You move over. And they'll throw the ball and slide, dive on a loose ball. So you're practicing your communication on the floor. And you're bringing energy. And if you don't do it with great conviction and great energy, those 14 seconds start over and you go back to the baseline and you do it again. Right? Energy-giving behaviors. DAPS. Right? So we want to win transitions. Right? Gates is big on winning transitions. So you practice transition in between drills. So if it's a water break, man, everybody got to sprint, dap, touch a couple people, sprint to the water and get back. Everything is moving like you got to pop. You got to win every transition. Going from point A to point B, win that transition. You talk about winning transitions. When the ball moves, you move. That's a transition. You got to win that transition. So now when we get to talking about defensive transition or offensive transition, it's natural for you to have a sense of urgency and alertness because you've already put it into the language of your program. All right? Celebrating wins. If you say, hey, we want to go 2 for 2 from the line and somebody go 2 for 2 from the line, there should be a celebration. And with 18 to 23-year-olds, my time with Coach Gates was the third oldest team in the country, so we probably were 23 to 26. But they buy into cheering and being excited for each other. So with 17 to 20 or 20 to 23, if you emphasize it and you're a part of it and you do it with conviction, you'll be able to create that type of energy and it'll be infectious. And you have to stick to what you stand to. We had a captain on our bench. He was with Missouri this year, Ben Sternberg. He was the only person outside of Coach Gates that had the ability to get a technical foul. Ben was a walk-on that knew he was never going to play. But he brought so much energy and he was so excited and the players got up off the bench when guys came off. He empowered him to do that. And one game, Ben got a tech. And Coach Gates walked down to him and he was like, don't get no more. I got you, Coach. Right? So what you say, you have to stick to because when you're trying to create the culture or create the connectivity, it's important that you do it. The next 3 will be really, really big, a power clap. You make a mistake, you get a 1-second power clap. So a power clap, I'm here, I turn it over, I got a power clap to myself. Right? Once that power clap is over with, it's over, we move on, we transition to what happens next. Right? And you see these things on film. We'll clip these things and show them on film. Adapt after a turnover. So, for example, I'm bringing the ball up the floor. I kick it to coach in the corner. She doesn't catch it, right? It's important. I jog over to her. We got to connect. We got to come here. We got to connect, and then we got to get back into the play. Anytime there's a player-to-player controversy where something happens, right? You dribble off your foot, power clap. I pass it to you and you don't catch it, it goes out of bounds, we connect, right? Most connected team wins. And you'll be surprised at how it creates the finger pointing or the thumb pointing or the frustration that happens on the bench. The other thing is the circle. Anytime that we met, right, we get in a circle, everybody had to lock arms, and you couldn't cross your feet. You couldn't cross your legs, so everybody had to lock in, 2 feet in, 10 toes down. We all here. We all 2 feet in this thing, we all 10 toes down. It was our example to each other of like, nobody can break this circle. This is the most powerful circle, and the way that we know that this is the most powerful circle is because our body language says that we're all here. Again, energy-giving behaviors, right? Somebody takes a charge, falls on the ground. All 5 guys responsible for running over, picking them up off of the ground. All things that you can clip on film and have a 2-minute film session just about our energy-giving behaviors and the connectivity, because at the end of the day, the most connected team wins. You get in the tournament, you playing in the district championship, you playing in the conference championship, both teams are really, really good. So who's gonna win? The most connected team. The team that can go out and execute the plan coming from the coach, that empowers each other and is comfortable amongst one another, right? So that's extremely important. That's extremely important. Lou, let's get to the film. right? So as we go to the film. That's my piece on when I was with Coach Gates and some of the things that you can control when you, one, first take over a program, or two, at our level, at the college level, when you have the revolving doors, right? The standards, the expectations, the things that like this is the bar. This is where we're raising it to, and this is where it will stay, right? So as we get into the rebounding part, right, you are what you emphasize. So everything that I talk about now is just going to be an emphasis. For us, when Coach Robinson came in, our leading scorer, Torrey Patton from Dayton, had graduated, right? Demoy Hodge, who ended up being defensive player in the SEC and probably one of the best shooters, now trying out for the NBA, went to Missouri. Trago Million, who was a heck of a junior college player, was first team all defense for us, left and went to Missouri. Right? Craig Baudouin, who was the point guard on the NCAA tournament team, had graduated. 3 or 4 other guys who just wanted to be somewhere else had transferred. We got 4 role players and a red shirt back. We were picked 7th in the country, or 7th in the conference. So Coach Robinson came in, I said, man, Coach, tell me, 1, how we gonna play, and 2, what you envision to see in us. He said, man, Coach, I want us to be Houston. He said, we want to defend, get that ball on the glass, go rebound it, and we want to choke people out on the defensive end. He said, 2, I want to be the toughest team to where whenever people leave, win, lose, or draw, they know they played the toughest team. Easy. So now the important part was to emphasize that. So when you talk about emphasizing it, and Coach Pagatti earlier said, man, 65% of the time, if you win on the offensive glass, you win the game. We won 21 games this year. 4 games we won without ever making a three-pointer. Don't mean we ain't shoot them. We just ain't make them, right? So we were second in the country. We were second in the country in points scored in the paint. The number 1 team in the country with points scored in the paint, it's all coming off KenPom, was Houston. You are what you emphasize, right? Offensively, we were 15th in the country in offensive rebounds on KenPom, right? So what we did, we emphasized it every day. Going here, first let's talk about the defensive glass. So if you play on the defensive glass, what we talk about, anytime you hear us, you will hear us constantly yelling, and Coach Lewis, you can hit play on that. We're constantly yelling, win the war, right? So as we talk about winning the war, you good? Yeah, you can hit play. Should just be able to hit that space bar. Yeah. Just rolling. So as you talk about winning the war here, right? Shot go up, pause it. All the guys going to look him in his chest, right? Turn. You hit play, coach. Look him in his chest, go find contact, and then we go rebound everything with 2 hands. Point of emphasis is go rebound everything with 2 hands. Ball go up, look him in his face, go find him, go rebound the ball with 2 hands. We here again, stand down, shot go up, go find the body, look him in his eyes, go rebound it with 2 hands. Right? Shot go up, go find the body, go get the ball in the air with 2 hands. Pause it for me, coach. So now, how we emphasize it, right? Can I get two coaches? Let's roll. So we'll start practice. First 2 minutes, we'll start on the baseline. We got a GA here. We have a GA, all with a pad, right? The guy will be here, stand behind for him, coach. So I'm here, I'm holding the pad. As he holding the pad, you hold the pad, I'll be a demonstrator. As he holding the pad, we'll say win the war. So first, I win the war, I turn, I box out, and then I just drive back, right? I'll go to the end, he'll step up, the pad will come back to him, go win the war, he make contact, turn, go box out, ride him out, right? And then we'll move it. So now I'll bring the pad here. They'll start in the short corner, right? He'll come from that angle, come win the war, boom, turn, go box out, they'll throw the ball off, he'll go up and get the ball with 2 hands, right? You taking the drill, you taking what we want to do and emphasize it through drills. That's a 2-on-2 shell drill. So let's put a guy here, put a guy over there. Let's make believe that the ball is here. You on defense for me, coach? You want help side? So we'll go 2-on-2 shell, right? We'll start those 2 minutes. I'll skip it to the other side and Skip. He get the help. He'll skip it back. So now Skip came back. I'm shooting it. He turning, finding me, go win the war. He'll go over there, find him, go win the war. Those 2 drills, 2 minutes. It's dead. We're moving on. All right? And we call it reminders. So we got 6-minute reminders. That group will stay. I'll run down to the other side and work with the group on the other end. The coach that was down there doing ball handling, dribbling, passing, and shooting, or run to here and go with those guys. And then 3 minutes a day. 3 minutes a day. So now you got 4 practices in a week. You just got 12 minutes of it. Then you just snuck it in through the practice plan and didn't overwhelm guys. I told coach I was talking for an hour. He said, damn, we only practice an hour and 15. What you gonna talk about? Right? So we find ways to make sure that we can be effective. All right? Coach, you go ahead and hit for me. Now, offensively, we talk about partying on the glass. So we'll show our guys partying on the glass where a shot goes up, pause it, 3 to the glass, 1 to the nail, right? So we got these 3 guys diving to the glass, he the nail, he's the get back guy, right? So we preach 3 to the glass, 1 to the nail, 1 back. Everything that we do, even if we're in 4-on-4 shell, 3 to the glass, 1 got to get to the nail. Obviously it's 4-on-4, so we couldn't have the 1 back, right? And with that, now, this is what I'll say before we hit play on that further. We play with great pace on offense. We play with great pace. Coach Robinson does a phenomenal job in identifying roles for coaches, for staff, for players, for who's going to shoot the ball, who's going to bring it up the floor, where we want to get our shots at. We have great discipline and great accountability. You can't have discipline without accountability, and you can't be accountable without discipline, right? So we are able to be successful with this because we always know when the shot going up. That's important. Now, if you getting quick shots and you trying to send 3 to the glass and that quick shot, he didn't know it was going or she didn't know it was going, now you're going to get beat down the floor. We can still play great transition defense because our shot selection and our tempo on the offensive end and our discipline on the offensive end allows us to. All right? Lou, you can hit play. Right? So here, you see guys going up after it. Again, 15th in the country in offensive rebound. Right? Shot go up. 3 to the glass, 1 to the nail. Shooter got to get back. Partying on the glass. Here again, shot go up. 3 to the glass, 1 to the nail. 1 got to get back. Right? And we want to go get everything with 2 hands. Whenever we talk more, you can pause it. We talk more about going to get it with 2 than we do actually practicing to get it with 2. We'll do things in our reminders, like we do rebounding every day. So we started the season out the first 10 games of the year, we were 3rd to last in the country in defensive rebounding because our emphasis was so strong on offensive rebounding. So it was, hey, how do we fix this? We self-evaluated in the middle of the season, and then we fixed it. It was like, hey, we're working on it every day because it has to change. And I think we finished right around 300. So we moved up 56 spots in 20 games, right? Because it was something that we needed to emphasize. So on the other end, like we'll slam a ball, guys got to go get it with 2, right? We'll start a line at the elbow. It'll be a coach here. He'll throw it off the glass, go get it with 2. Throw it off the glass, go get it with 2, right? As we talk about Rodmans, we'll do the Rodman drill the same way. So let me get the 2 coaches again. Coach, you'll be a shooter at the 3-point line. Coach, you'll be a rebounder. So with a Rodman, it's basically a tip out. So we'll throw it up. Coach will be here. He's going to deflect the ball back. So as he deflecting it back to coach, he's trying to just relocate and find where the deflection is, right? That's all a Rodman is. But it's a language in order to emphasize it. We throw it off, get him to hit it out. Now it can continue to help us on the offensive glass. All right, we're good. Lou, you can hit play. So we hear shot go up. You don't feel comfortable getting to it. And now we talk about that discipline. You see Yael Hill brings it out right here, deflecting it back out. I can't get to it because I got boxed out, right? Shot go up, can't get to it, got boxed out, tip it out. Let's make sure we get into our offense. Now, that's a Rodman. Who knows the best time to shoot a three-pointer? After offensive rebound. So as coaches, we know. But putting it in terms, so Dennis Rodman was a great rebounder. That's why we called that Rodman. You call it whatever you want to call it. You call it Draymond Green if you want to, right? name it whatever you want to name it. Make it hurt for us is just that. So anytime we get an offensive rebound, we want to make it hurt. That's either putting it back in or finding a way to get a three. And showing our guys here how to make it hurt. You hit play for me, coach. Coming off of the ball screen, shot goes up, right? You see, offensive player for us gets the ball, make it hurt. We want to get a three-point shot up, right? And now these are being celebrated. These are being rewarded. Shot go up, can't find it. One more. We want to make it hurt. You see our guys already standing up on the bench, finding a way to make it hurt. All right? We don't just talk about it, though. Well, for us, our film sessions, if 3 coaches talk, it's 6 minutes. Because one of the coaches said earlier, people use their phone all the time. Kids always on their phone. The attention span is short. So our film sessions are never longer than 8 minutes. When I go and I do personnel for our team, I'm responsible for all our personnel. Top 8 players, 9 maybe. They're allowed to have 3 clips. Now, how do you get creative with that? When I talk about their transition defense in film, I make sure the guy that shoots the threes in transition is a clip of him shooting the three. Because, hey, there goes Antoine Davis shooting another 3, right? You got to find him in transition. So now you got to get creative, but we don't want to keep their mind going too long on just staring at film. Free throw rebounding is the same. We'll go and look at free throw rebounding and see how guys do inside of the lane as far as the other team. Are they lazy or aren't they, right? If they are not lazy, we'll just go 1. Right? We'll call 1. Both guys is inside of the lane. I'm here. I'm standing. I'm just rolling out, and I want to put myself in position to get a robin. If they are lazy, we'll go 2, right? And I'll show you 2 here. Here we go. So we in the lane. Unfortunately, we play in Chicago State. I know we're in the Chicagoland area. But here, they cross, go to the other side. Deontay Johnson gets a dunk. All right? In the conference tournament championship, you cross on the lane, get an offensive putback. All right? So you can pause it. We're good, Lou. You can switch to the other one if you need to. So a 2, coach, step out for me. You step in the lane. Just so I can be clear with it. I know I showed it on film. But as we standing in the lane, I'm going across and we crossing. The guy on that side goes under, I go over the top. So when the shot goes up, he coming under, and he's just trying to create a collision with this guy here. To take 2, I'm coming to this side to get the offensive rebound on the weak side. All right? So that's a 2 for us. We just crossing, and you can see it on film. A lot of times, guys standing here and they acting lazy, we take advantage of that. So ways for you to steal possessions inside of games. All right? Thanks, Coach. So as we go to the sheet, and I didn't have it up there for the YouTube guys and the guys online, the girls online. This sheet. So this also is a Dennis Gates grading sheet. Everything we just talked about on film is what we did recently at Cleveland State with Coach Robinson and some of our defensive principles and offensive and defensive rebounding thought process. But this grading sheet is the first thing that was given to me when I took over as the video coordinator with Coach Gates and staff. Right? I was like, man, you got to watch every defensive possession of every player and every movement that they made on every defensive possession. Right? And the first time I did it, I was like, all right, let me figure out how to do this. It took me 7.5 hours. Now, unfortunately, we got GAs, but the first time I did it, because I wanted to really know how to do it, right? I'm big on, I want to tell you how to do it. And when I realized it took 7.5 hours, I was going to have to ask for some help. So our GAs and then whoever's responsible for this will get in the room on the day after the game. And we played Thursday, Saturday, so they would do 2 games, but they would get in and kind of go through this sheet. And you can change this however you see fit. So, for example, on every defensive possession, if there was an opportunity to have lock to gap, right? So if I'm in lock, I'm up the line, I'm in denial. When the ball is passed, I got to get to the gap. If there was ever a situation for me to do that on a defensive possession, I get a tally for success. If there was an opportunity for me to do that on a defensive possession and I didn't do it, I get a tally for fail. If there was never an opportunity for me to do that on a defensive possession, I just didn't get a tally, right? So if you go to contested shot, if I never guarded a guy that contested a shot on that possession, I just didn't get a tally. But if I was in help, the ball got passed and my man was shooting it, and I didn't contest it with I contested it with a high hand, I get a success. If I didn't contest it and I watched him shoot, I got a fail, right? So super, super simple. You can have as many or as little as you want to based off of what you think is best for your program, right? We had 10. Now for us, whenever we got 70% or above, we won. We won 20 games, Coach Gates, last year. Whenever we got 70% or above as a team, we won, right? But each player will get a grade. So now they can consistently see where they are or are not helping us, right? And then as coaches, so we were playing Wright State. Wright State had Tanner Holden and Trey Calvin. Trey Calvin was small and fast. Tanner Holden was a bigger guard. We had a big and a small guard. For one game, we put our bigger guard on the smaller, faster Trey Calvin, and we put our smaller guard on the bigger Tanner Holden because he was better on the defensive grading chart at boxing out because Holden was a great rebounder. And that year, Wright State was really, really good on the offensive glass. So it helped us improve because now you become comfortable, you become comfortable on making adjustments with how you do defensive matchups. You also get to learn your players on who is no different than what defense on the string is, figuring out who's getting drugged, who's living up to what the defensive principles are and having some accountability because the guys do over the weeks like, Coach, what's my grade? Right? And you say you celebrate everything, so at the end of every game, like whoever got the best grade was the defensive player of the game and they got to take a picture with a sword and put it on social media. So it gives you some tangible things to grade versus just going over the other things. All right. And then I'll get to, we'll turn and get to some late game stuff, which I think is extremely important. So for us, this past year, we were 21-14. We finished third in the conference. And going into the very last game of the regular season, if we win the conference, right? During that time, we had lost at home to Milwaukee on a buzzer beater, right? So we were up 3 with 6 seconds to go. The 3 in the corner. We run the close out, and our guy tries to take a charge. Guy missed the 3. Kid from Milwaukee gets the offensive rebound, robs it back out to the shooter, hits the 3, we go into overtime, we lose in overtime, right? So that's one game. We go to Northern Kentucky on their best player's birthday. 9 seconds to go. We said at the end of that game, we should have fouled. We were up 3. We should have fouled, right? So now we call a timeout, 17 seconds left, up 3. Players running off, they yell, Coach, got to foul. Got to foul. I'm like, man, y'all just get your ass to the bench. Like, just kind of coach, let us do what we need to do. So they get to the bench, we say we're going to foul. We foul with 12 seconds left. They make the free throws. We get the ball back. We up 1. They foul us. We missed the free throws. We up 1, 4 seconds left. They push the length of the floor. They step right over half court. They hit a 3-pointer. We lose. We had Oakland up 16 with 6 minutes to go. They hit a buzzer beater in transition, coming out of a timeout. We call a timeout, come out of transition. They get a kick ahead. Kid come off a pin down, hit a 3, go into overtime, we lose. 3 games. We win one of those games. With 2 games to go, we conference champs. We win 2 of those games, we solo conference champs alone. After we lost to Oakland, it was like we won't lose to situations again, right? So first year staff, us trying to figure out how to get it all in together, it was important to understand, like, man, you win games in the last few minutes. You win games, like, we put it as 4-minute wars. And in high school, I put it as quarters. So we played 8-minute quarters in Ohio when I was a head coach. And we wanted to win every quarter by 2. So we wanted to be up by 4 at halftime, we wanted to be up by 6 at the end of the third. And then with 4 minutes to go, give me a chance to win us the game, right? That's when I put my thumbprint on it and we go situational. We control the tempo, where we're gonna take a shot, what offense we're gonna run, all the other situations. But we got to keep the game close, and they can't get bored throughout the game. For us, we went medias. Like, hey, win every media by 2. So when we go in at halftime, we want to be up 6. You score fast in college basketball. So for you guys and girls, there are just a different variety of situations, right? Different variety of situations for you to have to be able to go through. One, is the head coach in here anywhere? Some head coaches. Coach. Tie game with 2 minutes to go. Both teams shooting 1-1. What we doing? And that's fine. But knowing, like, hey, now when you leave here between now and when you get to Summer League, hey, let's talk through some of these and figure out what we want to do. Because now we can be alert on how we want to approach our that situation if we ever in that situation. Everybody on the same accord of what you want to be able to do. Coach, tie game, 25 seconds left. Ball out underneath. What you running? Yep.
3 across, 1 at top of the key, 1 taking the ball out, cross to the 5-man in the middle, 1 popping out, give it right back to him, the handoff, bring it out.
Taking the last shot.
Yep.
Just situations. Just food for thought, things to talk through. I mean, I think when you leave things like this and you leave conferences, you want to be able to have tangible things because you'll go to 3 more conferences and then you have so many notes. It's like, man, I forgot what they was talking about when they was talking about in that situation. This is something that's always going to be important. One of the things that I found, like especially when you give leads up as a head coach, I always knew like if a coach tried to stall too early, we had a chance to win. Right? We were playing Toledo Whitmer. We were down 12, 6 minutes to go, and I looked at my assistant. I said, "Oh, he's scared. We got him." They about to take their own momentum away, right? So we always knew, like, man, we're not controlling the tempo. With 2 minutes to go, that's when we'll start trying to play possession basketball and slow the game down. Other than that, let's hoop. Let's go. We got to get active. Get active and get after it. And everybody's philosophy is different. So those are things that I have. And then that back sheet really just goes through late game situations and talk about some different philosophies and different things, right? If there's like 3 or 4 more sheets that go with this that I could send you, but feel free to reach out if you need things, or if it's something that you've seen us do, or something that you heard about Cleveland State that you'd like me to go into more detail on. I'll give you my email. It's t.j.lewis, Lewis, 17 at csuohio.edu. And I can get you whatever you may need. I can't express enough, man, how grateful, because Coach Robinson's from the Chicago area, so a lot of times when I'm in this area, man, people know who he is and he has a familiar face, but extremely humbled and blessed to be a part of his staff. I'm 100% convicted into his goal and his vision, and excited about us having the opportunity to win another 21 and more and find a way to get a couple rings from it. Like I said, we lost in the conference championship by 2. That game could have went anyway. Could be in coaches talking. You watched it on TV. Everywhere I go, people see Cleveland State was like, man, y'all had one of the best conference championships of the tournament last year, right? But our brand of basketball is so exciting and so fun because the identity of what we chose for it to be is so clear. We will be physical, we will be tough, and we will not back down. And he lets you know that, right? And the last slide I had on there was heart, but that's his core values, right? That's what we exemplify every day. Humility, right? You want to be humble in everything that you want to do. You want to be grateful, right? The E is for excellent. You want to be excellent everywhere that you go. Be excellent in the classroom. Be excellent when you present. Be excellent in your craft, right? A is for accountability. You can't be accountability without discipline. You can't be discipline without accountability, right? Holding our guys accountable. Resilient with the R, right? Just staying resilient and being the hardest working guy no matter what. Don't let the situation and the circumstance dictate who you are. And then the last one is togetherness, right? Most connected team win, and we have to stay together, right? So, any questions? Any questions?
So for the free throw rebounding, do you all do it every rebound, or just in the game situation?
We do it every rebound. But even, like I said, our film session is so unique. So 2 days before, I'll present the personnel, right? The 3 clips of every player and what they do. The next day, I'll present, and it'll be shooters, and it'll be a picture of all the shooters and 1 clip of all the shooters. Then it'll be drivers, and it'll be a picture of all the drivers and 1 clip of all the drivers. Then it'll be rebounders, and a picture of all the rebounders and 1 clip of all the rebounders. Then the day of the game, we'll just show their face. So now they've seen it for 2 minutes, 3 days leading up to it, but it was all quick shots, right? It's no different with that. The day of the game, when we go in with 17 minutes left on the clock or whatever, our video coordinator will get up and be like, hey, we going all 2 on the free throw lane situation right now, right? Or we going all 1 based off of him watching the last 65 times that they've been on the line for rebounding out of the free throws. So that's every time, but going into it, that's a part of the scouting report on how we gonna attack them in that situation, because you gotta win those special situations. Like those are free steals in the game in order to give you an advantage. No different than baseline out of bounds. Like we got a goal of wanting to score 12 points on baseline out of bounds. Like Coach Gates is so anal with it, if he runs a baseline out of bounds and you don't shoot it, you get subbed out. Or we'll sub somebody to come in and shoot it. Now, Coach D-Rob, because of how we play and how we attack the offensive glass, he's different in the fact that he wants it to be a good shot. Whereas Gates is, no, shoot the ball. So, and it's just a different philosophy. No, neither is right nor wrong.
When you send someone to the nail for offensive rebounding, is that mostly just to cover the area, or is it for the Rodman tip outs? What's the purpose of the nail?
So if for some reason we don't get the offensive glass, we got 2 guys back, but this guy is closer to take the first pass and slow the ball down. So when he comes to the nail, he really just getting to the center of the floor to be able to get to either side. If the defensive rebound happens here and they throw it, he's in position to get over there, and then the guy that's all the way back. So our transition rules are stop the ball, protect the rim, put a body on the body, right? So the first thing you got to do is stop the ball. Then you got to protect the rim, and then you got to get matched up, get a body on the body. I like to tell our guys, man, it's basketball. Stop the basket, stop the ball, play the game.
So to piggyback off that, so when you took the ball back out from Rodman, and the ball gets ahead of the defender, your offensive guy, are you all fouling in transition?
No, we just sprint back to the paint and matching up. Now, we're hoping that because it was a good shot, people can see, and us taking good shots put our guys in position to put them in position to be in position to get back, right? Man, super, super grateful. Lou, can't thank you enough, man. Can't thank you enough. So appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Clap your hands.